What up, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Givin Game, the podcast. I'm your host, Rickey! And today, we have a special guest. She is a actress, fashion model. She's done campaigns for Crest, Abercrombie, Nike, Key, Target, Jordan brand, Forever 21, Kim Kardashian's brand Skims, Vogue, Playboy, Lucky brand. I mean, the list can go on, but we just gonna stop it right there. All right, everybody, I want y'all to have a warm welcome for Amber Lauren Jones. Woo! What up?
Hey, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on? She's nervous, y'all. She's nervous. She's very nervous. She don't know what I'm gonna ask. But welcome back to Givin Game, the podcast. This is a podcast where we give the game, man. We give it back to you, the viewers, the audience, the aspiring artists. This is a podcast and a YouTube channel for you guys. This is just free information. I got some talented people that come on and give all the gems. So, Amber, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
You doing good?
How are you doing?
I'm doing fabulous. So we're gonna start with let's just go with the basics. Where are you from originally?
I am originally from Maryland.
Maryland, okay.
Annapolis, Maryland. And I've been in LA for 9 years.
9.
Yeah, long time.
Yeah, that's you almost a native now.
When people say that, I'll be like, no.
You're like, nah, you need more skin in the game. So when you started in Maryland, how old were you when you came out to LA?
I was 19.
19?
Yes.
Okay. And when you came out here, what did you come to LA for?
I came to LA for acting. Yeah. I came to LA for acting and writing.
Acting and writing?
I did.
Okay.
I did. I always wanted to write as a kid, and I fell in love with acting in like middle school and knew that LA was where I needed to go.
Were your parents, supportive of that move?
They actually were. It took my dad a minute to accept that I wasn't going to play basketball because growing up, basketball was a huge part of my life. I was going to go to college on scholarship, and I kind of threw all that away.
What? You threw away the dream. Everybody want to be a hooper, but you was like, nah, I'm going to do this acting thing.
I know. And my mom was always super supportive, and everybody was supportive for the most part.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe not a lot of people know that you're like a hoop, like a real hooper. Like they see the model, they see the stuff that you've done, but
I know.
You're like a real hooper. Like you said, you had a scholarship. So what was that scholarship, and what school was it to?
So I was gonna go to Rutgers.
Oh. That
was kind of in the stars for me early.
What?
My grandma had a good relationship with Vivian Stringer with me growing up, so I used to go to their camps, and yeah, like it was kind of supposed to be planned out, I guess.
Yeah. Well, what position did you play?
So in high school, I played like the 4 or 5.
Okay.
But like when I did AAU, they kind of moved me down to the 3 because I'm 5'9". That's like tall for like normal life.
Yeah.
But in basketball, like 5'9" is a little short for the 4 and the 5.
Yeah.
So I would say like I commit to position 4 because I'm like a rebounder. That was like my thing. Like rebounding was like what I did best. But yeah, like I did the 3 every once in a while too.
Okay. So you came out to LA, and then you started pursuing acting and writing right away, or what happened when you touched down in Los Angeles?
So no, when I came out here, I just wanted to do any type of work. So I did stuff. I was an elementary school teacher for a little bit, and
what?
I made like balloon animals, and I did face painting. It was pretty much anything that I can do to just make money and be able to pay rent. And then I did the background acting, and it's crazy to think back to that. I was actually just recently on set, and there was background there, and I like really wanted to be so nice to them because I think back to my background experiences, and people are so mean to background.
Yeah.
And it's just like they treat them like they treat us like we were just like
cattle. You're just props. We just move you around, place you where we want you. Like,
literally.
That's wow.
But yeah, and it's like all that for like $70. Can you like you remember all that for like $70 a day?
Man, the
and
minimum
it's
wage, man.
like,
Minimum
oh
wage
my gosh.
then was like $8, so it was crazy.
8 hours for $70. Like that was what we were doing.
I was like, yo, what is this? But that's the thing, like when you love it, it's like you're learning when you're there. Like,
exactly.
On set. Like I know for me when I did background, I gave up my job at like Best Buy.
Yeah.
And I was making more money at Best Buy, but I don't want to be at Best Buy for the rest of my life.
Right.
I wanted to be an actor. So just being on set and able to pick up game and learn from the different directors and seeing how different directors worked and how different actors work and the difference between how a TV set is ran and a movie set is ran. Facts. That was just eye-opening for me. Like I was like, yo, this is crazy. And I'm in the world that I want to be in eventually. So I feel like it's a good thing to, experience.
100%.
And it keeps you humble. Like how you said, like you've been on both sides.
Yeah.
So with that, you want to, be nice to the background. You know what it's like to be on that side of the field.
Exactly.
So you come in with a different energy on set.
Exactly.
You want to talk to the background. You want to do all of the different things. Because I'm going to talk to this motherfucker because other actors or stars won't talk to him.
I remember the people that were nice to me doing background. Like, I remember thinking, like, you're cool as fuck.
Yeah.
Sorry, can you cuss on here? I don't know.
It's cool, but no, you gotta be you. This is an open. You feel me? This is an open thing. You can do what you want. I want you to be your authentic self. So that's yeah. You're like, I don't know how authentic I want to be on this thing. But that's true. Like it stands out when you have someone, especially like a working actor or whatever, and you're just a background. You'll remember that shit. Like,
exactly.
And just you having that experience, how that affects you.
Yeah.
So with you saying hi to a background now, they're like, what? They're not gonna forget that.
Exactly.
You feel me? So
exactly.
You leave a nice mark on them. But so you came out here, you was doing different odd jobs, and then you started doing background.
Yes.
And actually, that's where we met, which is
which
is funny. Like it's been like 10 years, but that's crazy. Like, how did you stumble upon doing background work?
So somebody told me about extras management and central casting.
Okay.
And just honestly through word of mouth, I got with extras management and just kind of got thrusted into the background game through them. And at the time as well, I was working at a movie theater. So I was kind of doing
all
both.
Types of jobs.
Because man, it was just like LA is so expensive.
Yeah, it's hard, man.
I'm just like, I need all the coins.
Yeah.
But so it was like between background and like a movie theater job as well for a little bit.
Oh man, so you was in the business for real.
Yeah.
And I always want to give people like the information. So you said central casting, which central casting is like a casting facility that casts all, like the majority of the background movies, TV shows, and all of that stuff. So it's a place where you go and you stand in a long line. Back then it was crazy long. You have to get there early because everybody wants to be on set in some way. So you have to line up, then they fill out paperwork and take your picture, and then they
oh my
cash
gosh,
you.
I forgot they take the picture.
So they take the picture, then they put it up. You have a profile, and then different shows like Big Bang Theory or whatever. They're looking for your type. They'll bring you on set as a background performer, and then extras management was like a calling service for central casting. So extras management did all the work for you to get the job, because with central casting, in order to get a job, you have to call. Back then, you have to call a number, and you'll see what
was available.
What's available, like what products. They're like,
if you're like age like 15 to like 22, then this, and you're like fit this profile.
For the Modern Family's casting.
And Glee was a big one. Like Glee paid a percentage of my rent for a while because that was
when you get on a show that's like a school show and you're like a student or something, you're gonna be on that thing for a while.
And they always had such big calls because Glee would have those scenes where they did the musicals and like all that. So it's like you had the normal scenes where you just walk the hallways, but then you had the big scenes where they did all the musical numbers and Yeah, Glee cast often, for sure.
Yeah. That's how like the background world works. Because instead of calling central casting, extras management will call central casting directly and get the roles that are fit for you, and then they'll just book you directly.
Exactly.
Instead of you having to call and wait, you have to wait on a line for you to get through, and it take forever. You wouldn't be able to get through the line. I used to have to call on 2 different phones to try to get. Yeah, I used to try to call on 2 different phones because it'll just be ringing. Because oh, we need black basketball players for the Goldbergs. Everybody in LA is calling for that shit, and you'll be on the thing just waiting, and they'll be like beep beep beep.
Yeah.
And then when you finally get through, they're like, "Hey, we already booked the job." I'm like, "Damn!" So,
but extras does take a percentage, but that's like any agent or management. Like they always get a percentage, but then they do the work for you.
Yeah. So you will pay like a monthly fee for extras management to get you work to get background work. That's cool. Okay. So you did the background. And then how did you start to transition into modeling?
So I was with an agency that actually reached out to my mom. And this was before like plus size modeling was like this big thing now that everybody knows about.
Yeah.
So she was like, I'm starting an agency. Like we're looking for curve models. I thought it was a scam. But my mom was like, well, I'll go with you to LA and like we can, because I was actually still in Fresno at the time, like living in Fresno and then going back to LA when this happened. So when I went there, when I went to go meet with the agency, they were just like, yeah, like we love her, like let's sign her. So I came down to LA. That's what actually brought me down to LA.
Oh, okay. So you were with another agency already?
No, I wasn't with anybody at all. They just kind of reached out to my mom and was just like, we're starting a new agency. It's a plus size agency. Come down to LA. So that was
when you were in Fresno.
When I was in Fresno.
So you weren't in Maryland.
No, not in Maryland. When I was in Fresno.
So you went from Maryland to Fresno to LA?
Exactly.
Got you.
And so that's what initially brought me to LA. But they dropped me.
What?
And then that's when I started everything that I was telling you about, because I was just trying to make money. Like I had just moved to LA. I'm thinking I'm about to be this model, and I'm just like, ooh, I just got signed to this agency. Like they got me with these pictures, and then they dropped me. And I remember like reading this email and like crying, thinking like, I just made this big move, and how am I going to make this money?
Yeah, you moved across the world.
Oh my gosh. But luckily that's when I found extras, and that's when I found central casting, and that's when I was doing the crazy balloon animals and the face painting, and it kind of helped me after this big hump, because I was just like, geez.
Like, wait, I need to hear about this balloon animals gig. Like, I've never heard this. What the fuck are you doing with these balloon animals?
I made balloon animals at kids' parties, and I did face painting like at kids' parties, and I would like sit there. I didn't have to wear a costume or anything, but I can't remember. I had some type of wardrobe, but yeah, like I was sitting watching YouTube videos trying to figure out how to do it. So I'm just like,
oh, so you wasn't like a professional in this shit. You just picked,
like
I'm thinking this is like a hidden skill of yours. That's why I'm like, wait, what?
But it was though, because I was kind of nice.
What was the craziest balloon shit you did?
Oh, I don't even remember. It was the basics. I just did the basics,
okay,
honestly.
Okay, you ain't doing no Mona Lisas or some shit.
No, but definitely at the time, like YouTube. I mean, YouTube is still big, you know, trying to figure out how to do things. And I would just sit and watch YouTube videos, and I kind of picked it up from there. And that's what was keeping me going.
Wow.
In LA.
Wow. Okay. So you got this agency and they dropped you. So they were like, yes, we want to represent you. And then they released you as soon as you got here? Or did you go out for like auditions and then they dropped you?
I went out for 2 auditions. Okay. And then they dropped me. And I'm just like,
what?
I've only went on 2 castings. Yeah. Like, you know, like, dang, like I didn't even really get going.
Get your feet pedaling.
But honestly, like, everything happens for a reason, because once they dropped me, I kind of got interested into the curve modeling and like what it was even about just from that short experience. Yeah. And then that's when I got signed with Wilhelmina. And that's what hey, wait, hold on, man. We gotta ease the people into this. We gotta ease them into this. They dropped you, then you were doing all these odd jobs, so you weren't getting any work. Was acting popping off or what? So I did not have a theatrical agent or manager at the time. Okay. So I was just submitting myself on Actors Access like by myself. So it's like at the time I was just submitting. And yeah, I wasn't really getting any feedback, which is, I think, also what made me really think maybe I should try to pursue this modeling thing, because I never considered myself to be a model. Like, basketball was like my life. Like, I've grown up a tomboy.
Yeah.
So like thinking about modeling was never a thing.
Wow.
But like once she brought that to my attention, I was like, okay, like, can I be a model?
She saw
like,
something in you that you didn't even see in yourself.
Exactly.
That's crazy. So you never even thought about, you didn't even think about, like, I'm not a model. I'm a hooper. Like, you a hooper.
Like, I loved basketball, but I realized that I loved acting and writing more. And so, which is what brought me to LA. But athletics has always been a part of me, and that's been in my modeling career. Like, I rarely do, like, you know, a lot of super dressed up, like, heel stuff. Like, I think that my background in athletics has really shined through, like, in my modeling, which is why I do a lot of, like, athletics and kind of like loungewear stuff.
Dang, that's wild. So, dang, that's real crazy that she was able to see something in you that you didn't even see in yourself, and you were like, wait, can I be a model in this motherfucker? And you a model now. Like, that's crazy to even know. Like, wow. So okay, so after you know got dropped, and then you started doing Actors Access, which is a platform where, you know, you submit yourself for different projects that go out. You know, they have breakdowns, so they'll be like, oh, we're casting for this commercial or whatever, and you self-submit instead of having like an agent or somebody submit you. You upload your own pictures and submit for those things. So you were doing that, but getting nothing. So you were like, I'm going all in on this modeling thing?
Yes, that's what I was thinking. I was just kind of like, you know, maybe I should take a break from the acting and, you know, just try to do the modeling, because I feel like that is another income of money. And at the time, still, it was all about making money and trying to just make my rent and trying to just like live in LA. Because I always tell people when they move to LA, those first 2 years are the hardest. But once you get past that second year and you kind of get into a groove of things and it starts to ease up a little bit, but that was still, you know, those first 2 years for me. Oh, so it was really like, Amber, you got to figure out how you can make the most money at the time. Because you have to pay for Actors Access. So it's like I was losing money at that point. You know?
You doing all these submissions and paying, but you ain't getting no auditions and nothing. Dang.
So, yeah, that's kind of how it kind of transitioned back into modeling.
Okay. So so you wasn't getting anything with that. So how did you get into modeling? Because you said you got with Wilhelmina, but how did you get with Wilhelmina? Because Wilhelmina is one of the biggest, if not the biggest, modeling, you know, agency in the world.
Yes.
yes. Like, they're like in London, New York, Miami, like here, LA, like.
They are in those places.
So that's why I'm like, how did you get with them?
So funny enough, I went to open call, and now I believe all the open calls are done online. But at the time, you would really like walk in like with your book, and luckily.
And what just for the people out there, what's an open call and what's your book?
So an open call is basically an agency has a time period in a day where you would go in at that time period in a day, and they would take digitals of you, which is just like basic like pictures of like your profiles and like your front, and your book is just now it could be on like an iPad, but at the time it was a physical book that you would like flip through the pages and see your work. Now, mind you, I was super fortunate because the agency that dropped me, because they were such a new agency at the time, they took all of my pictures for my book. So I got to keep those pictures even after they dropped me.
Oh, so you got something out of the deal.
Exactly. So when I went to Wilhelmina, I had all of these pictures that I had from my previous agency, so they can actually like see something that I'm like have been doing.
And the book, so it's kind of like a resume?
Yeah.
Okay. So the other agency, they took all these pictures for you, but it wasn't from actual work, but it's like, what is like editorial type stuff? What is it in the book?
It's basically I tell people it's like your book is to get your vibes, right? So it's like if you go to somebody's book, you kind of catch a vibe for like what type of clients like they would want. So it's like if you have like a lot of athletic wear on your book, then most likely your agency is submitting you for like Nike and like Adidas. If you have a lot of like swim on your book, then your agency is submitting you for like swim.
Gotcha.
If you're kind of like a boho vibe and you have dresses and like floral, then you'll might get submitted for Free People, or like, you know, the more like floral and like flowy brands. So it's all about for me, I tell people your book is all about how you see yourself, or how you, like, your agency sees you, and how they're gonna like submit you to clients.
So is the book the same as a comp card?
So you get pictures on your comp card from your book, but it's only normally 2 pictures, and that's what you take to castings.
Gotcha.
And that's what they keep. Now everything is so digital, and like nowadays, like, people go on your Instagram and see like your pictures, or they go, you know, it's rare. Like, I have so many comp cards in my car right now because it's rare that clients even like use
it's like
comp
headshots
cards.
for actors. We rarely turn
like,
those in anymore.
Literally that.
Okay.
So, but at the time, like, at the time, we had a physical book and we had physical comp cards that they would keep, and that's how they would like talk to your agents and like call you back.
And how many pictures are in a book?
It can depend. Like, I think right now, like, I might have maybe like 20 pictures on my book.
Okay.
But yeah, in the physical book, people didn't want to flip through like 20 pages, so you might have had like 10 to like 11.
Got you. Okay.
Yeah. I still have my book in my car, just in my car, just for the hell of it, because it's like, you know, it's like, I don't even know, crazy to think that we had to carry around. It was like heavy, like a full book, but
Damn.
yeah.
You have to have a new one for each casting you go to.
Well, you know, you kept the same book, but you just had your comp cards that you would give to the casting.
Got you. Okay, so you had the book. So the other agency took those pictures for you, which is how you had your book. And how did Wilhelmina contact you to get to see your stuff and all that?
So I went to the open call.
Yeah.
And I was talking to an agent there, and they were like, "We love you, but we actually want you to gain some weight." Because at the time, I was maybe like on the small. I was definitely on the smaller side of curve modeling. At the time, like, curve modeling was like a strict like 14, 16. Like, even 12s and 10s weren't even really even thought of back then. Now everything is so much more diverse, and like people just want, you know, to have diversity in sizing and like look. So now it's not so much a thing, but back then it was like size 14, 16. Maybe if you're lucky, you can get it on a 12. And like, at the time, I was like a 10 bordering a 12. But I was like, I'm gonna just gain the weight. Like, I'm gonna gain the weight. Like, I'm gonna eat. I had a boyfriend at the time. Like, babe, I'm about to start eating. Like, if I gain some weight, I'm just letting you know what my plan is. So I gained the weight.
And did they tell you how many pounds you had to gain?
No, they were just like, you're kind of on the smaller side. Like, we would love for you to gain like a little bit of weight.
Okay.
And so it was kind of like a general thing.
Got you.
So I was like, all right. So I gained the weight, and then I emailed that agent, and she was no longer working there.
What?
So I'm emailing them.
You like, no, somebody might take me.
I'm
like, eating pizza. I'm eating all types of shit to get into this agency.
Literally. And so I emailed them, just like, oh, she's no longer working here. But luckily, all the emails that were to her got forwarded to the new agent. And they were just like, Amber, like, why don't you come in so we could have an introduction? So I'm all nervous, like, oh my gosh, like, what if it was just her that liked me? Like, now, like, what if there's other people don't like me? But ultimately, it worked out, and I've been with them ever since.
What? So when you go to the open call, because you said you talked to the agent, but how does that work? Did you just go take pictures and then the agent was there, or was the agent taking pictures, or how did that happen? Yeah,
so when you go to an open call, you just go, they take your digitals, like your fronts and your sides, and then they'll look through any pictures that you have. They normally like get your measurements, just, you know, stuff like just to get a feel for like what you look like kind of without all the Photoshop and like all that, and then what your sizing is. And I think too, like, open calls, and I think that's why they need to bring back physical open calls too, because you do catch a vibe for the model. And I feel like the vibe is always important, because that helps of who are the clients I might be interested in, you know?
And just real quick, that other agency, are they bigger now, or are they gone, or are you going to tell me who they are?
They are a very big agency right now in LA.
Really?
They are. And...
And they were just starting back then.
They were just starting. They were out of their house.
What agency?
Should I give the tea?
Give the tea, man. This is the people. The people want to know.
It was with Natural, and they're
natural models.
Yes.
Okay.
And so, yeah, like, I mean, still super cool people. Like, I have friends right now that are with them, that are working, that love them.
Yeah.
But again, like, I just think everything happens for a reason.
It does, yeah.
And it's like, I would have never even, thought about being a model if it wasn't for them reaching out to my mom and like bringing me down and like taking my pictures. So, I mean, I just think that was all part of my journey.
That's crazy. Cause like how did they even reach out to your mom? Like, how did you get on their radar?
So my mom does like computer stuff, and she made me this website, and she like did like this whole like website that was also on Model Mayhem. I didn't even know she did this.
What?
She just created this whole profile situation for me, I guess, when I had moved to Fresno.
Yeah.
And yeah, they found me on there.
Once you get with Wilhelmina, was Wilhelmina then, were they as big as they are now?
Yeah.
Yeah, they were like.
Because I remember at the time before I went to the open call for Wilhelmina, I went to LA Models. And at the time, LA Models didn't have a curve board. So they were just like, Amber, we don't have a curve board here, but you know who does have a curve board? Wilhelmina. Maybe you should go to their open call. I remember thinking like, Wilhelmina? Isn't that like the prize on America's Next Top Model? Because at the time, like that, like the first, like whoever won America's Next Top Model, like they got a Wilhelmina contract. So I was just like, Wilhelmina is not about to fuck with me. Like, no. But yeah.
What? But they fucked with you. Like, but yeah, they ended up fucking with me. What?
Yeah.
So you get with Wilhelmina. Are there classes for models? Like, what does it take to become like a model? Like, and start working like you are. Like, what was your ground? Like the basics. Like when you first started. Like, what happened?
Well, my very first modeling job was actually for a magazine called Teen Prom. It's like a subset of 17 magazine. So it's like my very first modeling job was like this huge editorial. Didn't pay anything, only paid like $150.
What?
Because editorials do not pay. But, for me, I was just like $150 like for some modeling work. Like this is great.
Yeah.
And I remember being on set with this model that I recognized. And I was like, and I still love her to this day. Like, she's super pretty. And I was just like, oh my gosh, like I'm working with this model. Like, because I've like seen her and other things. And I'm just like, oh man. But I would say, as far as like basic modeling would probably just be e-com. And that's like what you see when you're online shopping for outfits. Like, when you just like click on something and it's just a model wearing the clothes for the front and the model wearing the clothes on the side and the back. And that's what we call e-com work.
E-com work.
And e-com is like the bread and butter of the modeling industry.
Really?
If you get a client that constantly bring you back for e-com, then that's like what you want.
But how do you go about booking it? Like, is there... Because this is something I'm not in. So, like, is there, like, classes for models? Is there some way of becoming a better model? Like, how do you...
I'm sure there is.
work?
I'm sure there's tons of agencies and classes out there that show, how to do modeling. I actually, in Fresno, I did take a class that was supposed to be for modeling. I don't really remember how beneficial it was or wasn't. But ultimately, for me, I'm such a in the field, like I learn in the field type of person. Yeah. So just with the experience, like as I went, kind of just got a hang for it, honestly.
So just going in and taking the pictures and stuff. Yeah. Is there certain ways you have to look? Like, I'm trying to see, give people some game.
So natural again, they gave me my first advice, and after their test shoots, I was like thinking I gotta make my model face, and I gotta like do this like pout, because I always do that pout. Yeah. And I remember like they were going through my picture and they were just like, Amber, honestly, the way your face is set up,
the way your face is set up,
like the way your face is set up, you need less is more with you. Pretty much is what they said.
What? So less is more.
And so I was just like, okay. So like I took that and I went to like my shoots, and now I don't try to make a face, and I guess it's just like kind of like just a natural face.
A natural face. Go. That's your camera right there. Let's see your let's see the natural.
It's just like a.
Got the shoulder drop.
I I went in there. I was just like, I gotta perk my lips up and do this. And they were just like,
Nah,
it's not really working for photos. But
wow.
Yeah. And so so then I kind of just went with it. But definitely just experience.
Yeah.
It just has gotten me to really kind of feel out sets and see what they want, because some sets they might want a lot of movement. And it's like, I love those sets like Old Navy and like, of course, like Nike and like these, like Target, like these like places that really love the movement and the smiling and like the happy, like they love movement. But then it's like you work with some companies that they're just like, no, we want like still pose. Like I work with a company called Set Active, love them, and their e-com and their board is all just like still, because they just want to see you with the clothes on. So you really can't prepare for what clients might want, because it just ranges like so much of what they kind of want for their vibe. You know? But yeah,
as you started booking more work, how did that, like, how was that? Like, were you still working a job? Like, when did you start to, like, be able to, like...
I just was able to solely start modeling maybe, like, 4 years ago. And mind you, I've been modeling for 9 years. So it's like, I was still doing other things. The biggest thing that I did, I worked with seniors. And basically... I would take like this senior to the mall and I would like help him go grocery shopping, and like this other senior, I would take him to like the gym and I would, and he went to LA Fitness, which is where I went. So I would actually like take him and work out myself. Like it was like this great situation. And I would like drive him back home. But yeah, that was like my main secondary source of income, was working with seniors.
It's never, it's never just right away. Like even people who are working, you may be working, but it's still not enough to be paying all of your bills. So it's very important to like, and I talked to my last guest, Mike, keep your job. Like, don't quit your job until it's like, okay, I'm making some bread now.
Yes.
But
because I actually quit the senior job and had to go back to it. Like, I was like, oh, I'm working. Like, let me, like, I'm a working model. I'm just like, I think I'm good. And the more, it's like what they always say, the more money you make, the more bills you have. So it's like the more that I was working, the more stuff that I had to pay for. And I was just like, I think I need to go back to this senior job and and it was just like an extra like $800 a month. But it's like at the time, that's huge.
That's a lot of money.
Like thinking about, like, and then from background, we were making, we were just making like $600 a month.
Oh my gosh, if that.
If that was a good month.
Yeah, that was a good month. After you working.
Like, no, seriously though. Like I pushed with $600.
Yeah, like, sheesh. I was struggling when I was doing that.
64 for 8 with no games to be played.
No games, man. I was like, yo, this is, oh my God. What advice would you give, like, aspiring models that maybe, wanting to start, just they don't have anything, like, but they want to be a model. They want to be in a Nike campaign. They want to be in something like that. Like, what advice would you give?
Well, I always say the same thing, which is, get digitals taken, because that's kind of like your entry card to agencies, because you got to have a clean set of digitals, because that's what they're going to ask you for. That's what agencies look for, especially now that everything's online. Like if you have a clean set of digitals, that's good. And then I would say like kind of make a mood board and like figure out like what kind of companies you want to work for and like what like you think your vibe is, and then start to get a photographer if you can, and just kind of start to shoot your mood board and like what you see yourself doing. And you have your digitals, and then you can have those pictures of like kind of where you see yourself in the industry, and then that's how you're kind of going to start presenting yourself to like agencies and managers and kind of go from there.
So you pretty much, it's like creating your own little reel, as we call it in the acting world. It's like how you want to be seen or showcased.
Exactly.
So you put that little groundwork in, and you're able to give that out, and
yes.
you can present. That's like your work that you can present to agents and all that.
Just like in the acting world, people do not have vision. Like as far as like you be thinking like, oh, they can see it. Like they can see me doing that. And it's
Yeah.
just like, no. Like, they're only going to see what you present to them, you know? So
Yeah.
it's like you have to have that vision for yourself and then know how you want to present yourself, because like casting and like agencies, they're not going to try to read your mind and be like, oh, we can kind of see it. They're going to be like, we just don't see it.
Yeah,
Like,
limited
you know?
imagination. It's like, okay.
Limited imagination.
You have to show them. You
Yeah.
have to show them instead of relying on them to see it the way you hope they see it.
Exactly.
Damn. Okay, that's a good one. That's a good one. Okay. So how has it been as like a woman of color in the modeling agency, like in the modeling world in general? Because like you said, it has, and then you're curvy at that. So how has it been hard? Has it been ups and downs? Because like you said, it hasn't always been like curvy. It was like the thing. It was like, oh yeah, it wasn't as diverse at all. So how has that been? Have you noticed,
For me, I've always struggled, like back then, I would always struggle to meet my size requirements. So I've always been like this in-betweener, and I've always just like wanted to be bigger or smaller, so I can either be, with the size 14, 16s or with the 2s and the 4s. I've always kind of been in this middle. But I try to live by, Amber, you just got to be yourself. And if the industry is going to accept who you are, then that's great. And if they're not, then they're just not. Because for years, like, I've tried to, like, be bigger or be, like tan and have darker skin, or like not tan and have lighter skin, and like I've just because I'm black, and it's just like sometimes like people be like, are you black? And I'm just like, both of my parents are black, and I do feel almost this need to like try to be darker so I can be the black girl in the campaigns, because that's who I am. But then sometimes it works against me, and they're just like, they might lighten me up. I literally had this I've had this one shoot, Rickey, where I was so pale because they didn't want me to look like the black girl. So it like, for me, I've been in this middle ground with my size and with my color. And I've just had to tell myself, like, I just look the way that I look, and I am, the size that I am. And if the industry is going to accept me, then that's great. And I've been so blessed that I have been able to work at this size in this color. And
But I mean, that's a gem. Like, you have to be you. You have to own you. Love your size, love your look, love everything about you. Your imperfections, that's what makes you you. Like, I feel we're in a time now where everybody wants to look a certain way, and everybody's starting to look the same instead of embracing their natural self and how they were brought into this world. So that's really dope that you say that. It's like, you know what? I'm not conforming I'm just gonna be me.
Yeah.
That's good. That's important, man. That's important. Because that's why I was like, is it still as hard like that? Because I always heard those stories like, yeah, you're too small. You need to lose more weight, or maybe you should eat. Like, is it still like that to this day in the modeling world?
I'm not sure, because I don't know what it is to get into it. Because I feel like I said, for me, like I had to gain weight to get into it. So I don't know if like there's still agents that are just like, no, you have to lose weight before we sign you, or vice versa. Yeah. But as far as just like now, I think clients are so open to different sizes and different skin complexions and different races that it's a little bit easier to like maneuver. Yeah. But yeah, back then it was definitely more so like, we want a white girl, we want a black girl, we want an Asian girl, and we want a Latina. And all of it was like, we want the whitest version of those races. Damn. And I feel like now, it's like more so they might get a model and be like, ooh, what is she? And that's what's more appealing, because like we don't even know what she is, know? But
ethnically ambiguous. Yeah.
Because that became a term just in our 10 years of in the industry. Like, like it wasn't that ethnically ambiguous wasn't even like a term for real when we first started. Like that became a term like in these last 10 years.
Question for because you just did Playboy. Yes. How was that? Talk on that, because that's like it's Playboy, but it wasn't like. Go ahead. I'll let you talk on it.
No, it was great. I mean, I actually just recently seen the pictures and they're so cute.
Yeah.
I was nervous to tell my mom because my mom was like, "Oh, okay, like she's very conservative." But I was just like, "No, like my agent said that there's no nudity and there's going to be clothing." And I knew Playboy has clothing because one of my favorite sweaters is a PacSun collab that they did. So I know that they collab with PacSun and like Revolve and do their clothing.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, it's going to be clothing. And it was some swim on set, but
Yeah.
it was a great day. Like the crew was great. And yeah, like it was such a good day. Like I met like a really good friend now of mine that, you know, met on set, and yeah, it was a really great day.
So that's like the common misconception. So there was no, you know, topless. There's no nudity.
Well, there was a wet t-shirt picture.
Oh, okay. Well,
but I couldn't partake in because my boobs are kind of big, and I kind of told them, I was like, me in a wet t-shirt gets a little crazy. But yeah, there was like a wet t-shirt scene, and I was like, if you want to, like, I'm down. Like, you know, modeling kind of makes you a nudist, like, no lie, because you just constantly change in front of people, and it just gets to a point like where it's so desexualized, just being naked all the time, that it's just like,
because everybody's like comfortable in their own skin, and everybody looks good. It's like,
well, you just get used to people watching you. It's almost just like, yeah, like when you start to do swim, you start to do lingerie, and it's like a male photographer, because most of the time it's a male photographer. You just get so used to just kind of shooting or even changing without clothes on.
Like, that's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's just like you said, because you're working and there's always like somebody there, and it's not
always somebody there. It's always somebody there.
Changing room. It's like, go in that changing room and just.
Yeah, and it's like there's not always a changing room. Like still, like you can go to castings and you have to change it to whatever the casting clothes is, and a changing room is not guaranteed. Like it might be like a little corner where and it's no windows, and they'd be like, yeah, would you mind changing in that corner? And I feel bad for these little 17-year-olds, 18-year-olds where they're just like, not really, but you know, like me, I'm just like, okay, like I've been here for a minute, but yeah, like. You can't be too shy in this industry.
Wow. That's crazy. I didn't even think about that. Like,
well, but that's been going on for years. Like I just recently binged watched America's Next Top Model, and I would never forget this one episode where she was like 17, 18. I don't know if you guys remember this, but she did not, everybody had to pose nude, and she did not want to pose nude, and they sent her home, and they were like, if you don't want to pose nude, then you don't have any business in the industry, because that's just what it is. And it was like, watching that was so crazy, because it's just like, damn, like y'all sent this like 17, maybe she was 18-year-old girl home for not wanting to pose nude. But I mean, a lot of the crazy stuff from there really was kind of getting you prepared for like the industry, and kind of
that's what I was gonna say. Is it still like that, or is it more, because there's so much stuff going on in the world now, where just like, no, not everybody has to be new. There's way more diversity, so you can do different types of modeling.
True.
Also,
but it's like, you never know. Like I was recently on set, and they were super nice about it. They were like, we're gonna do this shirtless scene from the back. So it's like all of us, we're going to like take off our tops, and like it was going to just be shot from the back. So it's just going to, like, so no bra lines like on the back. And I was the only one who didn't do it. But it's like, they didn't throw no shade. It was no feeling towards it. Like, it was great. But again, like, you never know. And this was for athletic wear. So it's like, you never know, like, what might pop up on a random situation.
So that is not like discussed. Like,
it's not
for
like
jobs. It's not like you're like, oh, I know I'm gonna do this, and that. Shit can just pop up when you're on set, and they're like,
this was for legit athletic wear, like biker shorts, like like sports bras.
What?
Yeah. And you never know.
You book a job, right? You book a modeling job. How does the payment work for that? Like, is it like a one-time thing? Is it residuals, like acting?
So this is why I had to go back to my senior job, because when you book a job, you don't get paid for 2 months. So it's like, until you're maybe like 6 months in of like consistently working, you're waiting for checks for like 2 months. So it's like, you can be working like 1 month, 2 months, and think, oh, I'm working, like I'm about to get paid, and don't even get paid until from that first job, 2.5 months later.
Shit.
So it's like, you have to really get going and get, and like save up for it to like kind of even out, because like for the industry, as far as modeling, and even commercial work might come a little quicker. But yeah, it's like 6 to 8 weeks is like on average how long it takes to get that paycheck from that date that you worked.
Shit.
Yeah, and
That's
you
a
have to
long-ass
write the shit
fucking time.
down, because if you don't, you forget.
You forget,
Like,
yeah, you're like, do I have a check? That shit was the
Yeah.
beginning of the year. What the fuck is it?
I've had a check take a whole year and a half.
What?
Yeah.
A year and a half to get paid.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
Yeah.
but
It's rare, but I've had it happen.
But I guess there's no like, and that's the thing, because models, there's no union,
Exactly.
right? There's no union affiliation, so there's no one to be like, hey, models should get paid within, a couple weeks of their actual work shoot day.
And there are brands, like Skims is a great brand, like
Kim Kardashian's Skims? Okay.
Like they pay so quick. Wow. And so it is brands that, that will pay before the 6 to 8 weeks. Yeah. But yeah, like for the most part, most brands on average take that long.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
So how did you work with Kim? Like, did you meet Kim? Like, how did that?
I never met Kim, but yeah, those days are always great as well. Like very like easy days, like chill. The crew there is also really nice. I feel like you always know it's a good day how the breakfast is. Like when you walk in,
that crafty.
When you walk in, and if it's like a lit breakfast, like it's gonna be a good day. When you walk in and they like, we got some snacks on the table for you, then it's just like, I don't know how I feel about today already. It's gonna be a little, But yeah, it's all like there's definitely some clients out there that are great. Like Walmart's another good one. Yeah. Like, it's like Walmart's been around for forever, and Walmart's a really great set that really treats you really well, and they have the money to. It's Walmart, and Walmart. It's like that's what you kind of hope for. But yeah.
How do you get jobs? Like, how do you? Is it just strictly through your agent, or are there other ways to get work for modeling?
Well, now there's a whole, like, social media plays a big part in getting jobs now. Really? Like, social media wasn't as big when I first started. Yeah. And I remember I remember the first time I went to a casting. When you go to a casting, you, like, sign your name and, like, the time that you came in. Yeah. I remember the first time I went to a casting and it said, write your Instagram name down. And in that moment, I was just like, clients are really asking for Instagram right now. Like, this is crazy. But yeah, like a lot of clients will go on your Instagram and want to book you from there. And now places like Wilhelmina and Natural, I also know, have social media departments. Mm-hmm. So it's like people make money just strictly off of like brands that want them to like post on social media, even through our agencies now. Really? So it's like a big Instagram plays like a big part in getting jobs. But for the most part, your agent submits you in packages is what just over the years the terminology like.
What is packages?
So if a client says, like, if a client presents a package, I'm assuming this is all behind the scenes, so it's like I don't really know how it works. Uh-huh. But a client might submit a package that says we're looking for this type of girl, mm-hmm. and then the agent sends that client like maybe 6 or 7 girls. I'm not really sure the number, but they send a certain amount of girls to the client, and the client picks from that package.
So that's kind of like acting also. It's you have to, it's good to have a good relationship with your agent, because there's like things called pitch lists where your agent has their top clients that they pitch on certain projects that they're like the top bookers of the agency. Exactly. So they're only going to send a select few for certain jobs, because a commercial will come out for McDonald's, and McDonald's like, send us your best people. Exactly. That's it, because you're representing the agency. So it's like, okay, that agent's going to take the people from that pitch list and send them. So exactly, it's the same thing. That's interesting. Oh, okay. Yeah. Wow. So yeah, that's key, to have a real good relationship with your agent,
and to make it clear what your vibes are. Mm-hmm. Because if you're like bordering vibes, then maybe like the agent, like maybe like your agent is like, they might work for this client, but I don't know. So it's like if you have like clear cut like vibes on your book, then your agent will know. Yeah, let's put her in this package because she has this picture on her book that goes exactly what this client is looking for.
It's very specific. Like,
I think so. Yeah.
it's not like, oh, I have swim, but I can do a little leisure wear thing. Like, you want something, so when you're making it, but you want that shit to be specific as possible.
At least that's what I've been trying to do for this past like year or two. I've just really been trying to make my book like how I see myself and the clients that I want to work for. And I think it's been working for the most part because,
Like, I've been working. I've been doing the thing. How was that transition to like acting? Has acting, been have you ever been able to get acting jobs because of your modeling or vice versa?
Oh, it's so funny because people always say like, yeah, like modeling and acting, it's so similar. And I'm just like, modeling had set me back with acting because it's like you become this person that the client wants for modeling because it's all like photos and it's all like, smiley or like, like sexy or like whatever the case is.
Yeah.
And like with acting, for me now, I'm learning it's who I am at my core, and I bring that to the character. And it's just like, I just feel like that, like with modeling, I always kind of like morphed into like who I thought that the client wanted to be because the client wanted me to be because it's just pictures and it's just like, it's like you put on their clothes and it's just, you kind of just like morph into like what you think that they're looking for. But I feel like I was doing that for acting and it was holding me back because instead of like, then I feel like casting for acting was looking at my tapes and they were just like, but who is she? Like what's like her vibes? Like, what is she going to bring to to this character? Yeah. And so I actually had to take a step back and I had to I actually went back and I like played some ball and I went back home to Maryland for a little bit and I say this was like a very like journey like year for me maybe back in like 2017 18 when I was just like I had to like refine myself because I feel like I kind of like lost like the tomboy Amber that used to play basketball like part of me in this whole modeling world. Wow. And I had to kind of go back and I feel like now acting has been better than ever because now it's just like I can read like a breakdown like what you were talking about and be like, okay, I know how I'm gonna play this. Like I know the Amber version of this instead of trying to be like, well, I think this is what they want. Like this sounds like the character.
That's interesting because you talk about modeling is more what they want. It's not really about you. Am I right in that?
I always say like we're kind of just like hangers.
I heard that before. Like you're like human hangers. Like the clothes and
it's
stuff
about
like
the
that's
clothes.
The product.
Exactly.
That's the main star.
Exactly.
So, for modeling, it's not about you. You're trying to mold and be what they want you to be. You don't come in being, this Rutgers recruit. You can't do that. You have to drop and play a character in a sense.
And it shines through because again, like I've done like most of my career has been athletics and like kind of like chill, like cool girl stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, for the most part, I kind of like I was saying earlier, you figure out what they want and I kind of just like go off of what they want. Like, I feel like, for acting, it's more so like they bring people on because they like who you are and they want you to bring yourself to the character. Yeah. Because you're the person that matters. I don't really see. Like sometimes clients will say that for modeling, but for the most part, it's like they kind of tell you, like you walk on set and there's a mood board and they're just like, this is the vibe that I want from you. And it's just like, okay.
This is who I want you to be.
No, literally though, like most sets you walk in, there's a mood board and it's explained like, this is kind of what I want from you. And then that's like that's what you do because that's what they want for their clothes. Wow. But it's like, like for acting, I feel like I'm like, well, how I want to bring to the character, like what kind of vibe do I want to bring to this?
Exactly.
And it's a little different.
I guess it's not really like that with acting. Like acting, there's different worlds. Like commercials are different than TV and film, like auditions and stuff like that. But it's still you at the core. It's still you that's going to book that commercial or that that TV role.
Yeah.
It's crazy. You said you had to go back home to regroup and like find yourself?
I did.
Wow.
I do tell people this, like, yeah, I did. And I was kind of just like, okay. And it wasn't just like after that, I immediately like was back at it. It still took time after that. But yeah, like it's, you know, it's just all part of your journey.
Yeah.
And it's just all things that you kind of got to go through and just realize. I tell people all the time, like, you got to be careful with LA, because as much as I love LA, you will lose yourself in LA if you don't actively remember who you are.
Hey man, I hope y'all listening. Mike said the same thing in another episode. He said the same thing. Is you can lose yourself, especially coming from somewhere else. Like you coming from another state or a polar opposite, you know, environment than the city. Oh man. And
you can't lose yourself, because people think, you know, LA, you gotta like put on this front and, you know, do this to like blend in, but it's like that's what makes you unique, is like those, like how you grew up and like those little things. And it's just like you gotta just actively remember who you are.
Yeah.
It's like that's why I love my best friend. My best friend's from Maryland. She currently lives in Dallas, and it's like I'll tell her stuff and I'm just like, do I sound like a horrible person? And she's like, yeah, Amber, get it together. Like, she's like, like remember where you're from. I'm like, you're right.
But that's what you do to keep you grounded. Like, and how do you, you know, do you have a lot of friends that keep you grounded so you don't have to go back home sometimes, or like, because you say like you feel like you lost yourself, so you have to go back and like.
Well, I think now I kind of got to hang on it. Mind you, I also came out here at 19.
Wow.
I just turned 29. So it's like I changed in general, you know, from a teenager to like this adult. Yeah. So it's like it was a mixture between me growing up technically in LA to also me being like, okay, but I don't want to be like I don't want to be technically like, I don't want to say like call it an LA person, but it's like, you know, they do have these stereotypes of like the like LA people that are just like, but it's like, it's still, you know, it's still a thing that I do to this day. I try to just like stay grounded and don't let the world of modeling and the entertainment industry kind of just like make me forget who I am, because I am a girl from a small town called Annapolis in a small state called Maryland. And it's just like, I love that about me. And that's how even people say, like, you've been out here for 9 years. Like, you from LA. I'm just like, I love LA, but I ain't from LA.
But I ain't from LA. This ain't my city. Yeah, you gotta love, I mean, it's home. You gotta rep your city, man.
You know.
But that's a great story. Like just thinking about that, like you came from this small town and now you're doing big things, man. Yeah, it's amazing.
I'm very blessed. I'm so blessed. I'm so fortunate.
Doing, you know, modeling. What are the tiers of that? Like a campaign, like with Billboard, and you said the e-com. Like what are the tiers of like the work? And how do they stack up? Like you said, e-com is like the bread and butter. Yeah. So how does that?
I would say, like, for the most part, they're like 3 tiers. Okay. And it's like e-com, and then editorial, and then a campaign. And so, like, e-com is what you see when you're online shopping, like when, you know, you're front, side, back of when you're just, like, shopping online.
Like the people that are posed in that shit? Like
exactly. Like if you're buying a shirt, like the person who's modeling that shirt online.
That's the bread. That's what it should say?
Because, I mean, if you notice, it's only but 4 people. Like,
you know, and they wearing different outfits.
And they're wearing different outfits. So it's like if you get into that rotation, and normally they start you off at like $1,500 for e-com. So it's like if you get into that rotation and you're even working once a month, you're making more than the average person, most likely your age. Damn. So it's like, I mean, once a week, I'm sorry.
Once a week.
Yeah. So it's like if you're working twice a week and getting the minimum, which is like $1,500, then you're really, you know, making money in a month. And that's just doing e-com. So it's like, so e-com is the bread and butter, but it's not the most lucrative thing, but it's your bread and butter. It's like what you want to just be doing because that's what's going to pay your rent. Yeah. And then you have your editorials, which those are like the more fun things. Like you normally only have like 2 or 3 looks for editorials, and it's normally like on location or like it's something like fun. And same thing with campaigns.
So is editorial, where are those at? Like where do you see editorial?
So editorials you normally see online as well, but it's like when you go to like the homepage and it's like you might see like a picture of like somebody on the homepage, or it's like an editorial now can be for Instagram, because like if you have a brand that, you know, will shoot you for an editorial, it might just go on their Instagram, which still, like if they, you know, if you have a brand that has 2 million followers and they tag you for editorial, you're getting breaded, and, you know, you're getting some looks on social media from other, you know, clients and brands that might want to book you. And, you know, editorial is like when it gets seen by a lot of people. Okay. And then campaigns, I would say, is kind of like the top situation, and that's when you are normally in store. So it's like, you know, some brands, now there's so many brands that you can do editorials forever, but they don't necessarily have store locations. So it's like campaigns are mainly for brands and clients that have storefronts where you can go in and like see yourself in store, so or like
you did like the Forever 21 and Target, and stuff like
Lucky,
that.
Like those are like when you can walk in and like see yourself, or like billboards or like campaigns and stuff like that.
Gotcha.
Like
but that's the lowest paying as opposed to the
no, the campaigns are the highest paying.
Okay, that's why I was like, wait, e-com is the but e-com is just the more consistent.
Consistent, exactly.
And it's easy where you just knock those
it's
out.
Like it's like literally you just front, side, back, and then
knock them out. That's why I was like, wait, that's the top tier? Like,
no,
wait,
campaigns is what you want, because you only got about 2 looks, and they paying you, you know, some bread for that.
Pay you some bread for them things.
Yeah, but then it's too, people like nostalgia, and it's like people do still love to do magazines. I just shot for a magazine. I'm super excited about it, but I didn't get paid anything, because it's just like sometimes you just like the thought of being on a hard copy magazine still in 2022, you know, like
I mean that's what you do. I mean, ain't that why you get in? Like you see, it's like, oh man, have a magazine or have a billboard, like
but like magazines, they still don't pay nothing, like you know, because it's like they're almost like, it's like a trade. Like, you know, we get you, and you get to say that you're on this magazine. But
what magazine did you shoot with? Did you?
It's called Title Magazine. Yeah,
Title
magazine? A new magazine. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And then cool. I'm like, but that's cool because you actually have the physical copy. And it's like, I want. So you're the cover?
No, it's not a cover. It's just they do stories on different models, and it's like a little story situation.
Okay. So that's so campaigns is the top for models. Campaigns, and then is it editorial, then
e-com. I would say
e-com is next.
No, campaigns, editorials, and then e-com.
Okay.
As far as pay is concerned, that's normally how it goes. But it's like at the top, technically, if you book like the front of freaking Sports Illustrated, or, you know, the front of like Elle or the front of Vogue, like that's the top. But you might necessarily be getting paid that much.
Because it's like you said, it's like, okay, we're doing this for you, like
like I would, if somebody told me, Amber, Elle wants to book you for a cover, but they're not going to pay you, I'd be like, fine.
Yeah, because it's like that brand. It's like it's been around for so long. It's like, yo, it's such a top tier magazine. It's like, I don't care.
No,
just to say that I'm on the cover, or
just
I'm
to have
on
that,
like, I'm in there.
It's great. So it's kind of like what you're modeling for. If you're modeling for money, or you're modeling for clout, or you're modeling for fun, it kind of just depends.
What are you modeling for?
It started off for money, because I came out here to act and to write. So I never really was just like, oh, I have like these big hopes and dreams of like doing this. But over the years, and specifically in the past like 2 years, I really wanted to model and try to see what height I can take it to. Yeah. Because that was never really my thought process. My thought process was always, I'm modeling for money to pursue acting. And like now I'm kind of just like, well, now I want to see I want a billboard in Times Square, and you know, I'm like, shoot, like I want the cover of Sports Illustrated. So it's just like, like now it's kind of shifted, and that's why I think I have actually been modeling more, because mentally I want to take it to the top. Yeah. And it's like when I have that mentally in me now, it almost pushes me to go harder. Yeah. And then now I've been working more, because they're like a kind of lax mentality that I've had, you know, when I was younger, of just being like, you know, like I just want to make money. Like I don't really have a vision for myself. You know, I don't really like love modeling like that. But now I'm just kind of like, no, like I have a vision of where I want to go, and I'm gonna like push myself to get there.
Times Square, Sports Illustrated, those are the big ones.
Those are up there. I don't want to jinx it, but I just got told that's a campaign that I just recently did might get picked up for LA Billboard, which is also on my checklist. So let's fingers crossed that it does, because that would be amazing. I actually did have a billboard, but it was all the way in the IE. And we had to like drive all the way out there. Wasn't that cool? Wasn't that cool?
Hey, but it's a billboard, man. You see it, like, hey, man. Yo, you want the one where everybody like, oh,
I want that one on Sunset.
Yeah. Everybody gonna see that thing. It's like,
yeah, that would be great.
So where do you want to take acting?
I would love to be the next like Issa, but more like but more so darker. So I'm kind of dark. like when you get to know me, I'm kind of like a dark person.
Humor.
Like I love dark comedies. I love like darker shows. So it's like my dream is to really write and like act in my own like dark comedies, like like dark comedies that are just still like funny, but like have a little like crime and like edge to them. Yeah, that's like kind of what I'm like writing right now.
Ooh, okay, write your stuff. That's important, man. I feel that's something a lot of people need to take on, and starting to just write and create your own work.
Absolutely.
Create your own stuff, create your own Hollywood,
Mm-hmm.
Because it's freeing. It's very freeing, and it's just relaxing to like, you know what, I'm just doing my own thing. This is what I want to do, as opposed to like, oh, I got to do this or whatever. When you create your own work, it's nothing like it, because you take way more pride in it once it's being made, or once it's done, or once you're seeing it come to life. It's like,
yes,
damn, this is crazy. This is something, an idea I had in my head,
and now it's like, it's even on a small scale, even with like modeling. Like when I do test shoots, and I'm just thinking like, I make my own mood board and like the vibe that I want to see, and like fully send that to my agency, and then we get a photographer on board, and then take the pictures and get the pictures back and be like, dang, like I really put this mood board together. This is exactly what I got. Like, yes. So it's like, with acting and writing, like I cannot wait until I officially wrap my first project, and it's just gonna be an amazing feeling. I already know.
Oh man, it's gonna be amazing, man. I just wrapped mine. Like, we're in post-production now for my pilot, and it's the most, it's the most amazing thing. I cried and everything. I was like, yo, this is insane, because it's like you created this, you stayed up late night, early mornings writing this idea, and then to find people who want to
be a part of it. Oh my gosh, yes.
Help produce it and help bring it to life. There's nothing like it. And then once we sell it, it's like, oh my gosh, this is crazy. So just this whole journey of creating something from scratch, and then seeing it bloom to whatever happens it's amazing, man. That's why you come out here to LA, man. You meet so many different cool people who are on that same path as you. They're on that same journey, that excursion of.
And that's why it's important about who you keep around you, because it's like you got to keep people around you that, has the same ambition as you, and that it's going to keep you going, and that you're going to keep them going. Yeah. Like, Rickey, we know each other for 10 years. Like, we didn't see it.
Years, man.
We didn't see it since background, like since we were doing $64 for 8 hours.
Teen Wolf. On Teen Wolf. That's what the show, Teen Wolf,
and
man.
It's just like, I always like get inspired by you every time I talk to you. And it's just like, like you are one of those people that I keep around me, so I can keep going and keep hustling and keep pushing myself. So
that's what it's about, man. You gotta,
got a podcast now.
Got a podcast now, man. We out here. We out here, man. It's like
unstoppable. You're literally unstoppable.
Man. You just gotta keep pushing yourself to new heights. That's what I'm addicted. I'm addicted to work like this. Like, I'm not expecting anything from this shit. I'm just like, I know a lot of cool people. Like I told Mike, I know a lot of cool people I know where they started and how they began, and I'm so, amazed at where they're at now. And I just want to talk to them and interview them. It's like, this is like my little Ellen, my little Oprah show. This is me being Arsenio. Like, I'm like, yo, this is my little thing.
I was
put it
so
out
nervous.
and people.
I'm like, little old me.
No, man, you doing so much. That's what this is for. It's like, yo, to people who don't know what the industry is like, or they want to know what it's like, or pick up some game, or learn more about you. That's what this is. That's what this is for. This is just to put it out there and I get to interview my friends. This is cool. Like I'm like hearing it. I'm like, damn, we on a thing. Put it on Apple Music. Have a little podcast. And then I was like, I don't care if anybody watches shit. Like I just want to put the information out there. And it's like, yo, I did my part. And then it's like me giving you your flowers because you're doing the damn thing. Like we were doing background work. Like we were doing background work and we were talking about. Man.
We were talking about this shit.
He's like, I can't wait till I get a billboard. I'm gonna be on this. And you be doing commercials and TV shows and movies. I'm like, yeah, we're gonna do this shit.
Like
background, back to set. Okay, we're gonna do it. And then we go back to set. Like,
there's this girl. I'm gonna shout her out, Morgan, who also I met during background.
Morgan, who?
Her name's Dawson. Morgan Dawson.
Morgan Dawson.
She's a fitness person on Instagram, and she just got a new house, and like she's doing great. And I would never forget. We were on background. So on like freaking CSI, a long ass day. And I remember it was one of those long ass days. And I remember her being like, Amber, like I'm so tired of this. Like I'm about to start this fitness shit. Like I'm really about to get on my fitness shit. Yeah. And I was just like, me too. Like me too. Like, and she was like, and she was like, yeah, like da da da. And it's just like I would see her occasionally and like she was just getting toned and she would just have abs, and it's just like now she makes her whole career off of like fitness work, and she's doing so good. And I even take her classes like when I'm like, I need to take Morgan's class for a month so I can kind of get back in shape. But yeah, like I just really like another friend of mine, Cynthia, like again, met her at background, always dressed just fly. Just fly was all like, it just gravitated towards her because why are you always dressed so fly?
Why are you always dressed so fly?
Currently is a huge stylist. Like currently like literally styles a lot of different artists. She still styles like commercials and like he like styles the main people on commercials. And I'm just like, that's always what she wanted to do. Like, you know,
and she was doing background with you.
She was doing background with me.
And that's the thing.
Always fly.
She had it from jump.
You know, in background, we gotta dress very, very just like basic as
fuck. They gonna dress us or we bring some shit from the closet. Like what you do?
Like what?
But I mean that's important. Like you started in background and you met all these people before they are who they are now. They were just dreamers. They were just people, like I said, on an excursion to, you know, accomplish all these crazy dreams and these aspirations that they have. But you were able to, you know, build a community. Like that's how we met. And we're still in contact 10 years later. Yeah. So it's like, it's always about, you know, finding good people, finding people who are like-minded like you and have the same aspirations. It's going to hold you accountable too.
Exactly.
Like you want people who's going to be like, hey, no, get your ass in the gym, or hey, let's get this work or whatever. Exactly. You want people that's going to push you. And then you never know. That's why you want to be kind to people. Like all those people you met, you never know. You met them in background. You'd be like, this is background. Ain't nobody going to be shit. Everybody just here doing crosses and stuff in the background.
And
now they like big stylists. They're doing movies. You're modeling. They're on billboards. Like, yo.
It's crazy.
It's
crazy.
It's crazy.
Great. Everybody's journey. It's just like I always say to people, there's so many people in this world. Yeah. So it's like you have to really take in the people that you meet and that you like, you know, stay in touch with, because like you could meet anybody and you met that person. Yeah. Like, you know, I could have met anybody on Teen Wolf, but it's just like whatever was part of my journey was to meet you and was to meet Morgan, was to meet Cynthia. And it's just like, you know, still friends to this day. And it's just like, you got to take that in, man, because it's like, it's, you know, it's special. People that you meet, you know, that stick with you are very special.
Well, this was very special, man, just to have you here and to have you talk to the people and tell your story and share some gems for, you know, the aspiring models and actors and writers and stuff out there. Like this was fun, man. I'm glad you were able to come on and do the damn thing. This was cool. I learned so much. I was like, I don't know this. Oh damn. What's next for you? What's next? Like, what do you have? What you working on? What?
Well, I'm creating a TV show right now. It's like a dark comedy and like a dark dramedy, I guess I should say. Yeah. But yeah, like I'm just also pursuing just the model stuff and trying to really see like what are the heights that I can take the modeling now that I'm like going 100%.
Yeah.
And using that income to then, you know, do my production company and like
Come on, production companies on top. Let's go.
you gotta have some type of LLC.
Yeah, 100% LLC, S corp, get it, man. You gotta have you gotta be. Hey, this is entrepreneurs, man.
It really is. It really is.
Billionaire state of mind. Let's get it.
Yes. Yeah. Stay tuned for it. I'm so excited about it. I've been wanting to do it, and I told you how I wrote a version of it that I was just like, I don't know if I love, and then I was just like, Amber, just write what you want to do.
Yeah.
And even if you currently don't have like the funds to like make exactly what you want happen, just write about it, because you never know what can happen.
No, you never know what happened. That's very key for writers out there. Write with no budget.
Yeah.
Write like you have all the money in the world.
Because you never know.
Because if you write like, oh no, I only have like 10,000. Okay, I'm gonna write. You're limiting yourself and your imagination.
That's what I did.
Instead of like just going for it, swinging for the fences. Like, you know what? Yeah, and then the helicopter flies in. Because there's so much stuff that you can do now, and there's cheaper ways to do it, but write it how you have it in your mind, and then once the people come on board and you start about to make it, then you can downsize or whatever. But you don't limit yourself right when you're doing it on the damn paper. Like,
keys, literally keys for writers, because because then you're just writing not your full vision, and you want to write your full vision.
Exactly. Yeah, but that's okay. So you have that coming.
Yes.
What else? Any modeling stuff coming? What else can the people look out for?
I do have some modeling stuff coming. I have a couple of like beauty campaigns coming, and
okay. Can you say for who or no? Not yet.
Well, it's for one company called Beauty Counter.
Okay, Beauty Counter. Beauty Counter?
Yes, Beauty Counter.
All right, y'all be looking out for that.
And Way's coming, and yeah, look, I always blank when people ask me like what work, because you just be working. I just forget like what I've even done.
Go ahead and tell the people where they can find you, where they can follow you. All your jazz. That's your camera right there, and you can hit that one too. You can split them, whatever you want to do.
Okay, well, you can follow me at Amber L Jones with 2 underscores. Funny, my Instagram name used to be Kodak Moment, and my agent was like, Amber, I think it's time to change your Instagram name to like your name. And I was like,
Kodak
okay.
Moment?
It used to be Kodak Moment. Like, I thought it was tight. No, but yeah, you can follow me at Amber L Jones with 2 underscores. And yeah.
On Instagram and
on Instagram, and I think that's my name on Twitter. I'm so bad with social media. Like I'm on Twitter, but I more so do more stalking than actually tweeting. And same with TikTok. I think my TikTok name is the same thing. I'll have him write my actual @s at the bottom.
Yeah, I'm gonna have it. That's gonna be there when we do it. When I do the it's gonna be right there.
I'll have him actually confirm my @s. Like
confirm the @s.
Yeah.
Amber, thank you for coming on Givin Game, the podcast.
Thanks for having me.
It was amazing to have you. Hope y'all learned some shit today.
Yeah.
And we out. Yeah. Thank you guys for tuning in again to Givin Game, the podcast. If you like what you saw, please subscribe, like, comment, favorite the station for everybody on Apple Podcasts and Spotify. It really helps a lot, but we'll be back next week with a new guest with some new game.
Hey.
See y'all next time.
Bars.
Bye.